So I'm getting ready to head to Alphaland to shoot some content. I wanted to show you guys this. George actually got me this Jeep Wrangler Mojave stroller wagon. It's kind of cool. I've never had none like this, you know. I'm personally excited to ride in it, and hopefully the kids will enjoy pushing me, but I think it'll go really, really good. We have a side-by-side stroller right now, but we don't have something like this. So George, thank you for this. This is a really cool gift. I think it's gonna be pretty fun. Yeehaw! Okay, so the plan is to go to Alphaland. The plan is to shoot content of the gym. They've made a lot of changes, and we are going to go get some content so I can make some edits. One of the things I wanted to share was how to be comfortable on camera, because it's very confusing when you're first starting off talking to a camera and trying to figure out, like, what do I say? How do I, you know, do this where I feel comfortable and I can have a natural conversation? Well, I'll tell you what, one of the first books that I read was How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And I started practicing the principles in that book during high school because I was shy. I was very, very insecure. I was just very to myself, and I didn't know how to talk to people. So I started reading that book, and it gave me practical like takeaways, tactics, principles to start applying right away. And I started practicing it in school, and I started getting better at talking. But one of the biggest things that we get stuck in our heads about is what people think of us. And this is the biggest hindrance that I've found. One is being clear on who you're talking to. So Alex Hormozi just talked about it in his YouTube video recently, but I guess it's a piece of advice I guess I gave back in the past, where I was basically saying, when you look at the camera, you don't want to see a camera. What you want to see is somebody that you think of in your head. Put a face to it, and then talk to that person. Because if you could talk to that person, then you're not going to feel like you're talking to like this big giant audience and get like stage fright. When you remember that you're just talking to one person on the other side of this camera, then it makes it feel more like a one-on-one conversation instead of you feeling like you're talking to a giant audience. That's one of the big tips I've taken away. And then the other is, like, again, learning how to be comfortable with who you are. If you make mistakes, like if you are talking on camera and yet at the same time constantly analyzing yourself, you know, and you've got these thoughts like, oh, do I look stupid? What am I saying? You know, do people agree with me? You know, those are the sort of thoughts that are going to get in your head, and they're going to make you want to turn the camera off and just put it down and be like, you know what, I'm not going to post this. And that sucks, dude, because there's probably a lot of good stuff you want to share, and you really just want to like get in the habit of posting and not caring what people think. But then you get those thoughts in your head, and then now you're like, dude, I don't know how to get past this. Well, one of the ways to get past that, for me personally, it was just learning to just be more relaxed, be more chill, bro. Like, understanding that the imperfections that you have, right? I could sit here and analyze my face, acne, hair, oh, my fucking head looks weird. Like, bro, get those thoughts out of your head, dude. And you have to realize, like, when you accept those things about yourself, nobody notices them. It's only when you start pointing out the flaws in yourself that you make it known to people. Other people don't look at you that way. They just see you. Like, in general, it's just your face, that's your hair. They don't see the little piece of hair sticking out or a bump or whatever, right? Like, so when you highlight those things in your own mind, then you highlight it and it shows on camera. And so you gotta learn to just stop giving a fuck, bro. Like, if your hair's messy, if your face looks a little weird, if you're shy, if you don't know what you're saying, that's fine. It's a level of acceptance you have to have about yourself, because then you could be free. And I like the saying, man, the truth sets you free. And if you learn to just accept the truth about yourself, like, bro, if one day you wake up and you do look a little fucking ugly, like, who cares? So what? You're human, bro. Like, it doesn't matter. If you stutter, if you can't speak smooth, if you're having trouble just getting your point across, welcome to being a human. That's just a part of it. I've gotten this good at speaking because it's taken me a long time to practice trying to figure out what I'm trying to say. I used to not know what I was trying to get. Like, when you don't know what the point is, that's when you start getting really messed up. Or if you feel like you're talking for the sake of talking, then you don't really know what to say, and it just goes out the window. I mean, we've all had conversations where it's a little quiet, but you want to talk because you don't want it to be quiet because you're not okay with the silence, and so you start saying some dumb shit, and then now you look like a retard. It's okay to just be quiet, or to just be relaxed, or if you don't know what to say, pause. So, I'm hoping this is some good stuff for you guys to put in your head, because this is the stuff that I've built over years learning how to talk on camera. And one of the emotions that I really hold at the front whenever I'm speaking is excitement, enthusiasm. When you have a good intent, those are the things that mix together to allow you to spread a message, and you don't have to have some sort of script. in your head about what you're gonna say, because conversations don't happen that way. So it's very unnatural, which is why you probably feel very unnatural on camera trying to talk from a script that you remembered in your brain. You need to have the message that you want to say. What's the point I'm trying to get across? That's your intent. And then you just need to say it. You need to get excited and enthusiastic about sharing that tip. So like when I was turning this camera on right now, I was like, you know what? I've got information that can help people talk on camera, and I want to share it. I don't know where to start, so I'm just going to turn the camera on. I'm just going to quickly say what it is that I'm doing, and then dive straight in and start talking about it. And so hopefully that information helps you out. The next time you turn the camera on, I encourage you to do it right away, honestly, because that's the quickest way to learn, is to turn the camera on right now and shoot something, and then just get it posted, bro. Just made it to Alphaland, proof that I'm here. Somewhere over there. And we're gonna grab the camera equipment, we're gonna run inside, and we're gonna get going. I'm going to be shooting drone footage, gimbal footage, so that we have some edits for this week. Now, they've been making a pretty good amount of changes. You know, they're still adding to the high rocks area, they're building the glute room, they've added some more mega mask machines. So it's like, the tough part about getting content continuously is that whenever changes are made, you got to get a new batch of content. So we're going to get some stuff this Saturday to post throughout this week, and then we'll see what happens as they keep making changes. All right, now that we're here, the first thing we're going to be doing is flying the drone. It's a good way to kind of gauge the energy, the atmosphere, what's going on. I kind of did a quick little walkthrough just to kind of see how busy it was before I go in there with the gimbal. It kind of helps me map out a little bit about what we're going to shoot. But we're going to whip out the drone, we're going to get that footage first, and then we're going to go back in there with the gimbal and start getting to work. All right, so I just finished getting the gimbal shots throughout the gym. Gimbal shots of gym 1, gimbal shots of gym 2, and gym 3, whatever, right? Now I'm coming in and I'm getting some photos so that we could probably use as carousels, because carousels are killing it. And sometimes they're as simple as either one, using a carousel where the cover photo has a headline, or just doing a swipe through where it's just photos of the gym, drone shots, whatever, right? Keeping it super simple, but being able to just showcase the gym and staying true to that, show off the gym. That's the goal. That's the intention that I have when I'm getting this content. We've got a lot of cool machines here, showing off the road, showing off the space. It's just like your daily reminder that Alphaland is here, and we want to showcase that. All right, so that's it for today. Pretty much went through gym 1, gym 2, got a bunch of footage, flew the drone in the air. Now, probably gonna get a workout in. I think today we're gonna be training some either chest or some back. So we'll see. All right, so I got this organic watermelon cold press. And then I ordered the Texas barbecue burger. We're gonna see how that tastes. All right, so here's the watermelon juice, watermelon cold press. See how it tastes. Okay, that tastes pretty good. Honestly, it tastes just like watermelon. You know, some cold presses have like a very, I guess you'd say very tangy taste to it, but this is extremely smooth. I like it. All right, burger just came in. Let's check it out. Like I said, this was Texas burger, so it's got bacon on it. Oh my God, this looks good. That's fresh. It's got bacon, it's got pickles, it's got bread. 10 out of 10. All right, that's a wrap. All finished. Packing up now. Heading back to the car. We had a pretty productive day. Gotta go home and put this all together. All right, so today's Sunday, and I am going through my QuickBooks to make sure that all of my transactions have been categorized properly. And this is something that I've always done myself. When it comes to taxes, I've handled all of my taxes every single year. I'd say the year of 2022, I went to an accountant and got that taken care of. And I did that because I got myself in a lot of debt, and I was making tons of credit card payments, and it was getting really confusing. And so I got help for that. But ever since then, I've always felt like the finances that I have are not that complicated. And I really think most people don't have complicated finances. If you've got a business and you've got a lot going in and out, chart of account, like you're paying people and this and that, then yeah, it can get a little confusing. But it will always get confusing if you don't keep up with it every week. If you go the entire year or months or quarters and you haven't been keeping up with everything, then it gets difficult because you're backtracking, trying to find out, I deposited cash and I don't even know what that's for, or what is this transaction? I don't even remember what that is. And that happens a lot. And so it's so important that you stay on top of it either daily or weekly. And I wouldn't advise monthly, but daily or weekly or every 2 weeks I think is a good amount of time. But I mean, you're really just trying to take those transactions, and in your bookkeeping software, you're just letting it know what was it for. That's it. I mean, there's no tricks, scams, gimmick, like whatever, right? Like, just mark what the transaction was for, and that's it. Like, yeah, there's specific things that you should make sure of, like certain things. If you buy an asset or camera equipment or gear, that you put it in as an, if it's over $200, you put it specifically as an asset. You don't just write it off fully unless you're trying to. Again, the tax strategy is really complicated if you don't know what you're doing. So my goal is just make sure things are accurate. I want my numbers accurate, because one of the things that happens is if you get so used to dirtying your books, and years later you want to look back and see how you were doing and see your business grow, and you just see this jumbled crap and your numbers are wrong, and you're like, well, I knew I was doing better, but the numbers don't make sense. It's especially when you get in the habit of building a company. You want your numbers clean, you want everything accurate. So I'm using QuickBooks. I used to use QuickBooks Solopreneur, Solopreneur, I believe what it was, and that was a pretty simple way of doing it. It was great for freelancers. I upgraded to QuickBooks Online, which is a massive jump. The software looks completely different. There's way more tabs, reports, all that sort of stuff. But I mean, I've got a handful of like books that I've used in order to kind of get myself familiar with all this stuff. One of the ones that helped me out a lot, it's this one right here. It's called, I'll show it to you where there's light. So it's called Small Time Operator. And this book was really helpful in understanding how to just kind of operate your business and kind of take away some of the guesswork. So let me show you. So in here, if you're retarded and you know nothing about business, you can basically just buy a book like this. Yes, buy it on Amazon. It has all the answers you need, and you can literally walk through step by step in the table of contents about everything you need to know. It tells you everything. So when you have a question, you go to the book, and then that's it. You go to the chapter. I mean, guys, you know how to read a book. You don't have to read books from one page from the start to finish. That's not how this works with these books. You go exactly to where you need to go, and that's it. As simple as that. So this is super, super helpful, especially when I have questions. And the truth is like, you don't always know what to Google. You might be like, oh, we'll just Google it. Well, you don't know any of this stuff. So how are you supposed to look it up? If you don't know, about sales tax and sole proprietors and business structures and inventory control and all that sort of thing, then like, how are you supposed to Google that? You don't. So it's a good thing to have a book that has it all laid out for you, and you'll look and realize, oh, I didn't realize I need to keep up with this or that. So that's one of the books that I've read, Small Time Operator, and it's been really, really helpful for me. Let me take a look and see. I did watch a lot of YouTube videos. Jumping Jack Tax, I watched him early on, trying to understand the difference between a single member LLC and switching that over to an S Corp. Because what it does is, like, if you're a single member LLC, you're pretty much paying self-employment tax on the entire portion of money you make. But if you switch to an S Corp, you can basically take a reasonable salary, and that is liable for the 15.3% tax, and then you can take out distributions, which are not taxed at the self-employment rate, but you've got to make a certain amount of money in order for that to make sense. You can't pay yourself the salary and take distributions if you don't have enough money to even do any of that. So I'd say that's one of the cool things that I've been learning about money and stuff. But yeah, we sell the gym equipment, selling websites, selling video services. Like, it's a little tricky. You're ideally supposed to have bookkeeping for each specific business, but when you're starting off, man, just make sure your books are correct. And I honestly think you can do it yourself. And now we have AI. You can go to Gemini and have it in your browser tab, ask it a question, just be like, what does this mean, and it'll explain it to you. If you don't know something, ask the question, understand what it is, and you'll be able to do it. I really don't think it's hard. Money comes in, money goes out, and you just need to figure out what was it for and what was it for on the other end. Pretty simple to me. So just finished hitting a chest and tricep workout. Now what I want to show you guys is something really powerful when it comes to pricing and upsells. This math is wild, and I want to show you guys how to increase your revenue. So here's what Alex taught me about upsells. So he said that about 20% of your customers are going to take an upsell. So we do the math here. We got 100 customers and they pay us $100. So that's $10,000. And we want to add it. We want to get to 30,000. Well, here's what he says, right? He wants to do price increases of at least 5x. So 100 times 5, that's 500. And then you've got 500 times 5, 2,500. So next thing you're doing is you're taking 100 and 20% of 100 is 20. So you have 20 customers who take the upsell, and then another 20% of those who are 4. So what's going to happen is obviously 20 times 500 still equals 10,000, and 4 times 2,500 is 10,000. But in total, you've added 30,000 in revenue. But here's where the magic happens. If you wanted to make 30,000 and you only had that one product or that one offer, you'd have to service 200 more customers in order to hit 30,000. But instead, you added upsells, and now you only have to serve 24 customers to reach 30,000. So instead of 100 customers total at 10,000, you serviced 24 customers and have now made $30,000. So 124 customers in total to hit 30K. This is the power of adding upsells, because it reduces the complexity. It reduces the amount of customers you actually have to service. And you have to remember that there are a few people who are willing to pay more for what you have to offer, but you've got to add that pricing option so that they can pay you more money. And usually what you want to do when it comes to this is, like, you'll have, say, your pricing tier, and you might have either 3 or 2. And what you want to do is you want to build out your full offer. So this is basically like the all-out thing that you want to make money on. And then the middle option is most of it, but it leaves out some options. And then the other option, which is the first one, leaves a few, but then most of these advanced features are taken out. So instead of working your way from, the small to the more expensive and the most expensive, you want to start by doing this. This is your moneymaker. This is what your business runs off of. Okay, this is like your full suite package, whatever. And then you look at the premium services once you've added on here, and it's like, what's really important? Okay, this, we're going to take that off, we're going to take that off, we're going to take that off, and we're going to offer it here in the middle price. So instead of negotiating price on your main thing, you're basically subtracting features and then offering a lower price deal, but for less features overall. And so this is something that you can keep in your head as a mental model whenever you're working with your clients. Let's say that you want to charge, say $5K for video work. Say you're a video person or whatever it is, $5K for service. And you offer all these things, but the client doesn't have the budget for that. So instead, you say, you know what? Well, what's not important to you, right? What could you do without? And they're like, well, I don't need this, and we'll leave the other ones. Okay, cool. Well, then let's do 3K at that, and that. And this, we'll start with this package here. Next thing you know, you've now worked, you're not doing, oh, let's do 3K for 5K of work. You've now went down 3K and offered what's really important. So you're basically trimming off from your full offer to get to 3K so you could still do a deal. And at least you'll have a bottom number of where you're willing to go to. But this is a way to kind of mess around with your pricing and actually make more revenue without having the service double the amount of customers. Now, one of the reasons I wanted to share that is because it blows my mind how you can change the way that you price your services and make way more money by serving less customers. We often get so excited to make more money that we go straight to doubling the amount of customers we serve. And while it logically makes sense at first, you start to do the math and you realize that you can make a whole lot more with less by getting smart about your pricing, because there's a percentage of your customers who want to pay you more money, but if you don't have the option available, they're never going to have a chance to pay you. So you've got to think hard about how you could offer more, right? How could I do more for that client? How could I do more for that customer and make it kind of a little bit more towards like a white glove service? How do I think of the things that they need help with? And then when you are taking your top tier service, which is everything you have to offer, just like I laid out on the whiteboard, you take everything you have to offer and be like, yo, if I could get paid for this, like doing all this work, it would be so worth it. And you could deliver a better service because you made a whole lot more money. Now, again, like most of us as business owners, we're so focused on more customers, marketing more, and we really want to focus on the acquisition side. But there's so much work to be done on the pricing side. So really think through it really well, and then test it for 3 to 6 months and give it some time to see how it works. And then take note of it, just like in software, where you launch the software, you run through it a few times, take note of all the bugs and errors and the features you need to add, and then you come up with a software update. This is similar to what you want to do with your business or its pricing, but you don't want to tweak it too many times. You don't want to, like, dude, if the iPhone kept coming out with updates every single day, it would be just crazy complicated. So you stack up a bunch of things that you want to update, and then you come out with a release. And then in that release, you have notes about what you changed, because this way you could start to measure the difference between the performance. So whatever your offers are, change it up, add it, trim it, whatever. Add just a few different options, and then test it. See how it works, and I think you're going to be blown away by how much revenue you can add in your business without having to double the amount of customers you serve. I hope you guys found that helpful. I love sharing this stuff, and I really want to walk away with some practical advice for you guys to take away. I'm going to be practicing it myself, so I will share all the results with you guys as I go.